Hi, readers. It's Lori. Happy whatever day it is where you are. For me, it is the weekend, and I am getting a lot done today. And one of those things is to record a couple of videos, but also to plan ahead some things, which is the subject of today's video. And that is what I'm going to read potentially in July. I recently saw a video from Krista at Books and Jams, who I've been watching for a long, long time. And she's doing her second round of something called Ketchup-a-thon. And it came just as and I don't think she did this in the summer the last time, but it came just as I was pondering how many Book of the Month Club books I have and how many I haven't read. And wanting to catch up on those was a priority that came to my mind. And then Krista posted their Ketchup-a-thon for this summer. Now, last time we did it, it was a hamburger. So it was the bun and the patty and the condiments and different things like that. And you built your burger based on the books that you read. And I'm pretty sure that I did this way before I was back on BookTube. Maybe not quite way, but before I was back on BookTube, because I don't remember making a video about it. But this is like perfect timing for me. Also, I probably love ice cream sundaes more than I love hamburgers. But what I did today was I looked at my Book of the Month Club books since I began, and I began in August of 2020. I'm almost on my 3rd year anniversary with Book of the Month, which I'm really excited about. So I've been a member for 35 months. That's a lot. That's a long time. And I've really enjoyed it. And I've skipped about 6 of those months. I looked today to see how many months I had purchased and what I purchased. So I made a list of everything and checked off those on my list that I have read. And then I also made a list of the months that I skipped. Okay, so let me count this really quickly because I didn't count it before. Okay, so since I started, I have purchased 43 books total. So for 34 months, that's not too bad. And then I also have read all but 16 of them, which was, I thought, pretty good. I don't know what other people's stats are in this regard, so I don't know what kind of bar to reach for, but I'm pretty happy with that. But I realized that if I completed the Ketchup-a-thon this year, if I read all of the books that I put on my TBR for that I would make a pretty significant dent in that. Of course, I'll continue to buy books. So I really want to focus on reading more Book of the Months this year because I love them. I very rarely have one that I don't enjoy. I really want to say only one of these I have not been able to get into, and that's the infamous Age of Vice by Deepti Kapoor. I still can't quite get there. But the rest of them, I have really enjoyed all of them. And many of them were authors I had never heard of before. So I may do a separate video on what's left after this and then just kind of see where I'm going to put those. But for today, let's work on the Ketchup-a-thon. This begins July 9th and it goes for 2 weeks. It is 3 Sundays, which Krista was happy to point out, which I think, Sundays are often a reading day for me. So I think that that's valid. So the Ketchup-a-thon prompts are all based on this ice cream sundae. So the first one is the container, and you choose one of these. And I'm going to kind of just go through these briefly. I'm not going to explain them because I think they're self-explanatory. But one of them is if you choose the cone, you would choose your oldest book of the month. If you choose a dish, you would choose the one that's hyped. And if you choose a waffle bowl, you would choose your newest book on your book of the month list of purchased books. And for me, that one is The Wishing Game by Meg Schaefer. And I think this is a debut novel by her. And I really loved this cover. I really loved the premise of this. It's kind of a retelling of Willy Wonka, but through a bookstore, I believe. And it follows a woman who I think she was a teacher, or she's just really focusing on books in her life, and she enters a contest. And that's all I'm going to tell you now, because I'm going to talk about it more in my wrap up for what I hauled this month. But this is my newest purchase. So the second prompt is the ice cream. So vanilla is a debut author, chocolate is a repeat author, and a twist is a new to you author. And so for me, I chose a twist of vanilla and chocolate, and that is a Christmas book in July, Kiss Her Once for Me. Christmas in July is kind of a thing for me. My sisters and I used to do different things to kind of honor Christmas in July. So Allison Cochran is an author I have never read before. I've had this one for a while. Ellie is from Portland. She had a dream job in animation and a Christmassy bookstore meet cute with a woman she fell in love with. And then something happens and they separate. And so she then ends up with a friend who is the bookshop's landlord, I guess, who says, let's pretend to be married in a convenient marriage. And then that solves two of their problems. And they go to his family's house, and she discovers that his sister is the woman that she had this relationship with. So this would be perfect. And I love this cover. It screams Christmas and romance and lightness. Like ice cream is light, right? Or is it? I guess it depends on how you look at it. The next one is your sauce. So the choices are hot fudge, which would be a dark cover, caramel, which would be a light cover, and strawberry, which would be a colorful cover. I like strawberries, but I do not like strawberry sauce on my ice cream. Isn't that funny? So my favorite really is hot fudge, although I will eat caramel. But for me, this is one that I've been wanting to read because it's kind of a summer read also, and it has a pretty dark cover. And this is A Light Pirate by Lily Brooks Dalton. The Light Pirate is about a hurricane and some children, and I think she's pregnant. Is that right? Yes. And she has her baby during the hurricane, and then something is different about the baby. And this one, if you remember me talking about it, is told in 4 parts: power, water, light, and time. So I've wanted to read this for a while. I haven't gotten to it. Chocolate sauce makes that possible for me. It's fairly short. And what better time to read it than hurricane season, right? Okay, so the next prompt is toppings. And I love some toppings, but there are 6 of them in Krista's Ketchup-a-thon guide. One of them is sprinkles, which is to read the shortest book you own, but from Book of the Month Club. Fruit, which is a book that's out of your comfort zone. Peanuts, which is a thriller. Candy, which is your go-to genre. Whipped cream, light and fluffy books. And cherry on top, red Book of the Month Club logo. I have one book that does have a red Book of the Month Club logo. So if I decided to add a cherry to the top of this sundae, which I could do, I could read Killers of a Certain Age, but I didn't get that from Book of the Month. I got it from Pango. So I could still read it and count it for sure. Because Krista did say, and I should have mentioned this at the beginning, if you're not a Book of the Month Club subscriber, you can still do this by just reading these books that are, that have been offered by Book of the Month. You can go through the whole list for as long as you want to. Nevertheless, I am going to read contemporary fiction, which is a go-to genre for me. I love contemporary fiction, especially contemporary fiction that examines women's relationships to different kinds of things in their lives or relationships to other women. But I really like an exploration of that. So I picked The Whispers by Ashley Audrain, who I often want to call Audrey Audrain. And I love this cover. Dear God, this is a beautiful cover. What color is the cover? It is red and black. Nice. Nice, nice, nice. Okay, so this one I talked about. I talked about this in my most anticipated reads video for June because it was one of my most anticipated. And it follows a neighborhood group of neighbors who are having a barbecue or some kind of a party. And I think it's set in the summer. The couples are all out eating and drinking in various ways, as you know, that you've probably done or people do all the time in your neighborhood. And a little boy falls out of his bedside window during the party and is, of course, not well, in a coma. And the women that were at this party then try to come to terms with what's happened. And they all have a kind of a different relationship to this child, including the mother, obviously, and some of the other neighbors. And they also have a different relationship to children, perhaps, and to they're just thinking this through and processing this and really being with this. I like that a lot. And I read The Push by Ashley Audrain, and I really enjoyed it. And I think I will enjoy this one as well. So I really kind of want to build this Sunday on the foundation of the others so I can get to this one for sure, because it's like I'm anticipating it so much. So if I were not to choose that one, or if I needed or wanted to read another one, I could read The Hacienda, which is kind of a thriller, but it's really speculative fiction, I would say. It is not light and fluffy. So it would fulfill go-to genre, because I do love speculative fiction, but it also, I have to say, I started it and didn't finish it, and it was a little out of my comfort zone, and I'm not sure why at that time, because it has a supernatural piece to it, and it has a Rebecca feeling to it. And I love Rebecca by Daphne du Maurier. It's one of my favorites, but I don't know. I was not quite there yet. So I was 141 pages in, I think, which is interesting. And I just didn't get to the end of it. That would be easy if I did that. That would be a way of checking off a box pretty easily. And it is 342 pages long. I don't even really know which one of these is the shortest, but that's my plan for my Ketchup-a-thon Sunday, July 9th to the 23rd. There is a Google Doc that I can link, hopefully, in the description below. If I will try to do that. If not, just go to Krista's channel. Most of you probably subscribe to Books and Jams, but if you don't, I highly recommend her. She's a very, very large, very popular channel. She does a lot of reading sprints with people, and she does a lot of other things. Oh, and before I forget, there are some extra things you can do just for kind of like extra fun, I guess, during the readathon. So let me read these two, because I can't remember them. One of them is review a book of the month book on their website, which I've never done, to be honest. You can read with a fun summer treat. I could do that for sure. Try a chapter with a book of the month book. I could do that with one of my others that are not on this list. Participate in reading sprints, not just Krista's. You could certainly participate in someone else's too. They have reading sprints all over YouTube. And then feature a Book of the Month Club book as a photo on Instagram. If you follow her on Instagram, she also said she was going to put up different pages with all of the prompts. So I think you could then comment on each one as to what you added, perhaps. I'm not sure, but she wasn't quite there yet to do that. So it may not be quite up yet. And again, she said, if you don't have Book of the Month Club books, and I really agree with this, if you don't have them and you want to read these, you can certainly find them in a variety of ways, or you could just read whatever books on your shelf, kind of follow these prompts, because I think that they're fun. It will be a fun readathon, I'm sure, for a couple of weeks in July. I would really like to knock all of these out. And my reading pace these last few weeks has been really fast. So I'm ready to keep that up and get to some great reads. So thanks for joining me today. I really appreciate your comments, your support, your ideas, what you're reading, what you're going to read now as a result of seeing some of these books on my channel. And as always, happy reading. Bye.